International. It's time for the news.
The President of the Republic, Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces and Minister of National Defense, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, has paid tribute at the Martyrs Memorial here in Algiers in memory of the martyrs of the glorious National Liberation War. As the UN strongly condemned the human losses in Gaza, the Israeli army has pursued its pounding of the territory, killing and wounding scores of Palestinians. And UN agencies have warned of a cholera epidemic spreading in Sudan, threatening the life of more than 33 million people in a country torn by armed conflict since April 2023. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail from Radio Algeria International. First, in our news, the President of the Republic, Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces and Minister of National Defense, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, has paid tribute at the Martyrs Memorial here in Algiers in memory of the martyrs of the glorious National Liberation War on the occasion of the celebration of the 63rd anniversary of independence and the recovery of national sovereignty. The President of the Republic laid a wreath at the commemorative stele before reciting the Fatiha of the Holy Quran in memory of the martyrs of the National Liberation War. The President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, has signed on the occasion of the 63rd anniversary of Independence and Youth Day two presidential decrees granting pardon to a number of prisoners. A statement from the Presidency of the Republic indicated that the first decree concerns 6,500 prisoners and the second concerns prisoners who obtained teaching or training diplomas or were graduated during the 2024-2025 academic year. Earlier, the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, addressed a message on the occasion of the 63rd anniversary of Independence Day, in which he paid tribute to the brave martyrs who sacrificed their lives for the recovery of Algeria's sovereignty and dignity. In his message, the head of state highlighted that Algeria today faces the different challenges with a renewed spirit and aspires to overcome them with full confidence in its national capacities and potentialities. President Tebboune also stressed that the memory of independence and recovery of national sovereignty drives us to reflect deeply on the changes that the current world is experiencing and how cohesion, solidarity, and national consciousness constitute the best way to prevent nations from suffering the ravages of turmoil and conflict. In this sense, he said, the Algerian people have always worried about maintaining their unity and strengthening their ranks, and throughout history they have been an example for peoples in terms of loyalty to the country. To conclude, the President of the Republic urged the Algerians to be aware of the challenges following the great principles that guided our brave and eternal martyrs. The Ministry of War Veterans and Right Holders has initiated a rich program of festivities to mark the 63rd anniversary of Independence Day, reflecting the commitment of the country's highest authorities to preserving national memory and building bridges between generations. The National Commission in charge of preparing the celebrations for national days and holidays, chaired by the Minister, Mr. Laid Rabiga, has developed a multi-sectoral program under the theme Our Algeria, the Legacy of the Martyrs and the Glory of the Faithful, under the aegis of the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune. The program includes several historical and cultural activities as well as international and national conferences and symposiums attended by friends of the Algerian Revolution. Public institutions and buildings will also be named after martyrs and war veterans. And Algeria is celebrating the 63rd anniversary of its independence this year as it continues its comprehensive digital transformation process to enhance transparency, improve performance, and achieve national digital sovereignty. The progress made in the field of comprehensive digitization is in line with the commitment made by the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, who has constantly stressed the importance of achieving a digital transformation to improve communication and generalize its use or the use of information and communication technologies, ICTs, notably in the management of public services and the improvement of economic governance. To the Middle East now, where the UN strongly condemned the human losses in Gaza, while the Israeli army pursued its pounding of the territory, killing and wounding scores of Palestinians. According to the news agency Wafa, over 30 people were killed in the Israeli bombardments carried out today against various parts of the enclave. This brought to 52 the number of people killed over the past 24 hours in the Israeli bombardment that targeted notably the northern town of Jabalia in Gaza. This came as the Euro-Med Human Rights Monitor affirmed that the Israeli occupying forces had intensified their direct and deliberate attacks on Palestinian civilians, targeting shelters and tents where displaced people sought refuge amid an unacceptable international silence. In its last report, the non-governmental organizations stressed that Israeli attacks were aiming those who attempted to have access to food or water, notably near aid distribution centers, which it stressed had become genuine instruments for death. In this connection, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres expressed dismay at the worsening of the humanitarian situation in Gaza, noting that several Palestinians were killed and wounded while seeking to get food. The UN chief once again called for an immediate and permanent ceasefire and for a safe and lasting access to humanitarian aid. Meanwhile, the Palestinian Hamas movement has said that it is ready to get immediately involved in negotiations on a ceasefire proposal. The representative of the movement here in Algiers, Youssef Hamdan, said the decision followed consultations held with the Palestinian factions.
We affirm that the movement has completed its consultations with the Palestinian factions and the mediators about the proposal that put forth, which should allow for an end to the acts of aggression carried out against our people in the Gaza Strip. The movement has submitted its response to the mediator, which is positive. There are some remarks that have been understood by the mediators. The movement is ready to seriously take part in a new round of negotiations on a mechanism of implementation of such a framework in order to turn it into an agreement that guarantees the non-return to acts of aggression against our people, the occupying forces' withdrawal from the Gaza Strip, the reopening of all crossing points, and the entry of humanitarian aid.
That was the representative of the movement of Hamas here in Algiers, Youssef Hamdan. Let's recall that the Islamic Jihad has blocked the negotiations principle to move forward towards a ceasefire and called for further guarantees to see to it that the Israeli army stops its attacks on Gaza. And to Africa now, where UN agencies have warned of a cholera epidemic spreading in Sudan, threatening the lives of more than 33 million people in a country torn by armed conflict since April 2023. According to the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, and the UN Office for Humanitarian Affairs, more than 33 million people, including nearly 6 million children under the age of 5, are now at risk from the disease, which has spread beyond Sudan's borders, with cases reported in Chad and South Sudan. According to the UN, the massive displacement of people and the collapse of the public health system caused by more than a year and a half of conflict have led to an uncontrollable epidemic outbreak. Since the beginning of the year, 32,000 or suspected cases have been reported, including 742 deaths. Between July 2024 and June 2025, the country recorded more than 83,000 cases and 2,121 deaths spread across almost the entire Sudanese territory. And Rwandan President Paul Kagame has affirmed in Kigali that Rwanda is committed to implementing the peace agreement with the Democratic Republic of the Congo signed a week ago in Washington. Quoted by the Rwandan newspaper New Times, President Kagame said that Rwanda is determined, honest, and eagerly awaiting the implementation of the agreement. With this last piece of news, you come to the end of this news bulletin for today. Time now for this special program or special interview with eminent economic operator and the president of the Algerian Association for Ceramics, Monsef Bouderba, on the 5th of July, on the celebrations of the 5th of July. Will be followed by another program by my colleague Hannah Dalil, devoted to the same topic. As for me, I'll meet you again tomorrow. Thank you.